Welcome to Co-op Mode, round 44. This is the official video game podcast of Secret Friends Unite. I'm your host, Todd Oxtra, joined by my co-op co-host extraordinaire, the Canardian, Mark Carabin. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. You're not starting any turf wars this time. I think that's a good thing. I think Ryan Turfert was kind of caught in the middle of that, feeling a little left out with the amazing Canadian hosts, and I'm sure many other amazing Canadian creators. We don't want to, I'm going to do the most Canadian thing. Sorry to anyone that we offended. No, it's all in good fun. We all get along, and there's no turf wars or Turford wars as there were. There we go. Ryan, we love you. I love the Xbox Drive. I can't talk enough about that show. And I want to thank Bobby for joining us on that last episode. But it's fun to be back with just Todd and myself talking video games. I'm excited. How are you doing?
Not bad. Well, I've been better. I'd be lying. I'm the one-armed gamer this week. I had surgery on my shoulder on Thursday, so I'm recovering. So I've not played a lot the last couple of days. And as I was telling Mark, I'm finally weeding off the medication so I can actually have a drink, which is nice. And hopefully numb some of the pain and hopefully get me in a mode where I can play more games. But yeah, that's been the big thing in our household, and out of the sling and ready to get in better shape. And hopefully this leads me to a healthier, happier Todd in 2020.
I'm happy to hear that you're doing good. I'm happy to hear that everything went well, and that, I mean, you're recovering at near Wolverine speeds here. This just happened this week. You're already out of the sling. You're already weaning yourself off pain meds. A lot of people milk those, so it's really good to see you, ready to go and kicking ass.
They did not put any adamantium into my spine or my bones, though, Mark.
Next time.
Missed opportunity. Yeah.
Yep, for sure. I had a minor surgery on my back a couple of years ago, and I didn't need any adamantium. Apparently I have rhinoceros skin. The doctor had a hard time. He broke several scalpels trying to get through my skin, which was fun. And I apparently burned through local anesthetic quickly, which is something my father also does. So I could feel everything, and the doctor noticed me kind of gripping the table and was like, "Can you feel that?" And I was like, yeah, everything. He was like, "Holy crap." It just, I guess, gave me more or whatever, and then it was fine. Anyway, yeah, fun stuff. Surgeries are always great.
I was going to make a joke that they were removing a tramp stamp, but I guess that was not the case. Sorry. No. Okay. Good to know. You regret, you regret certain, video game tattoos forever, Yeah,
no. I Heart Bobby is still in its tramp stamp location.
And below that, brute force for life.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, well. So we have been playing some games. So, Mark, you were talking about being nostalgic last week. Are you still feeling nostalgic this week?
A little, but it's kind of weird. So I was very much looking forward to Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. I pre-ordered it. I got the warehouse demo. I talked about that a couple of weeks ago and how much nostalgia that hit me with. And the game is finally out. I jumped in. I did a character creator mode and skated around for a minute. And then I put it down, and I've been playing Avengers. So I'm going to talk about Avengers first, I suppose, and hopefully next time I will have gotten into Tony Hawk more substantially than I did this time around. But Avengers, I've been on the record as on the fence about this game, not going between not going to get it at all to maybe I'll get it on sale to being bored a couple of nights before launch and saying, you know what, I love the Avengers. And I think we talked about this through text. I think I was still kind of wrapped up in the whole missing Chadwick Boseman thing and feeling some Avengers and Marvel love. R.I.P. King, by the way. Man, that just devastated me to no end. He just seemed like a genuinely fantastic individual all around, despite being a kick-ass Black Panther. Even with that aside, he just seemed like a superhero in real life. But anyway, so I pre-ordered Avengers. I got the 3-day early access edition, so I've been playing for a while, and I've been so hooked on Avengers that I haven't really played Tony Hawk or much else of anything. I haven't even played Fortnite in several days. So that is how much I'm enjoying at least the story mode in Avengers. Now, I did jump in and play one multiplayer mission with my friend to help him through the story mode. So it was something that I had already done. He was Kamala, I was Hulk. I jumped in with what surprised me as my Hulk, which was several levels above where his characters were. So I was just plowing through this stage. Like, Hulk's a powerhouse to begin with, but when you're double the level cap that someone else is, like, he was on a pretty early mission. Holy crap. We just kicked the ever-loving nonsense out of this stage, and it was fun. It was cool, like voice chat and, oh, come over here. The game really needs a ping system. I'll say that much, because it was like, hey, I'm over by the tree, by the snowy rock. There's a chest here. Like, it was super frustrating, but we figured it out. But yeah, Avengers is really surprisingly good. There are some glitches and some things that need to be worked out, but it looks great, it plays great, and I'm enjoying the story mode. We'll see how I stick with it, if it's more Destiny or Anthem. We'll see.
I forgot that the actual story had co-op.
Only some parts of it.
Okay.
So there are big story beat missions that are single player only, and you have no option. And then there are a little bit more open story beats that you can take crew along with you, and it's a little bit more open world, a little less linear. You have an objective, but you can kind of also explore around. In this case, it was kind of a tundra, snowy, whatever. So it's those missions that you can join. Now, for the most part, it's random matchmaking if you want, or AI-assisted other characters. Okay. For this one, though, he was able to invite me in. I haven't tried the invite process, but it was very simple. A little bleep popped up. Adam wants you to play with him. Hold X to continue. Yes, I got it on Xbox. I'm going to miss Spider-Man. Boo-hoo, but whatever. It's 4K and awesome. So anyway, yeah, I just got the invite, held X, jumped right into his game. He was already Kamala. He only had 2 characters unlocked at that point. So I got to be Hulk. Funnily enough, I did have Iron Man unlocked at that point. I was a little further ahead in the story than he was. And it would not let me select my Iron Man. It said not available for Adam's story at this point. So I was forced to choose the Hulk. But like I said, it was my Hulk, not like taking over Adam's Hulk. So it still had like the skin that I put on Hulk. It was still my level cap. The stuff that I got from doing the mission could still apply to my Hulk. And it was all leveled up to where I was. So I wasn't picking up like lower level gear out of chests. I was still picking up, good level gear, like good gear for my character. So I did like that aspect of it, where it wasn't like I was going through a low level mission and picking up stuff that I was just dismantling and tossing, and there was no reason to do it. This really gave me an incentive to want to help him through, or want to help anybody through. So if anyone's listening, hasn't picked up this game, wants someone to walk through some of the beats with them, or just if you even have played this game and you're finished the story, let's team up. Let's go smash as Avengers. It's so far it's pretty good. It definitely has some bugs, definitely has some kinks, but they've got a pretty good base there. I'm surprised.
I'm hoping to get it. Gamefly is sending it to me, so just depending on when it shows up, it's Labor Day weekend, so I may not get Tuesday, but I'm super excited for that. I am interested to see how the online play works. I did play it with one person during the beta online, and he got very annoying. So that was not good. Had to mute him, and it was not very good. Yeah. So depending if you like randoms, whatever your cup of tea is, but yeah, if you can get a bunch of folks together. Unfortunately, it looks like there will not be cross play for Avengers at this point, but it would be great if they did. Even if you don't get to do certain things together, that's perfectly fine. Destiny had the same thing, where you had things that were exclusive to PlayStation. They didn't have cross-play for a while. Now it's just cross-save, but it will have cross-play eventually. Mm-hmm. So I think we're going to all get there eventually. Hopefully.
I hope, yeah, because so my friend Adam, I was actually introduced to him by a mutual friend named Andrew, and Andrew is predominantly a PlayStation player and was over my place the other day, dropping a couple of things off, and mentioned, wanting to play this, and he was talking to Adam as well, and Adam mentioned that the two of us were playing, and he was like, is it crossplay? Can I pick this up on PlayStation, play with you guys? And he was like, no. So that kind of got us talking about next gen and where he's going, and maybe trying to line up there a little bit. And it is one of those like little weird leftover things of, it feels so last gen. It feels so archaic now. We're so used to so many great games having crossplay, and to take a step back from that is, it feels a little. It feels like backstepping. It feels like going in the wrong direction. And I don't care if I ever get Spider-Man, and if I play with someone on PlayStation and they're swinging around as Spider-Man. You know what? That's only going to entice me to pick this game up for PlayStation next time, or pick up a PlayStation. If I am playing crossplay on my Xbox and I'm like, man, Spider-Man looks fun to play. Like, that's not going to hurt PlayStation in any way. If traditionally, and I'm saying that like traditionally Sony is the company that puts the brakes on crossplay. Maybe it's not this time, but in the past they have with Fortnite and Rocket League and a few others kind of put the brakes on that crossplay integration. So I don't know if they are this time, but if they are, like, step back, think about it. This has worked. This keeps on working. It will only sell more PlayStation 5s. Get in now while people are still making that decision. Anyway, great game so far. Definitely has some bugs. I'll see if I stick with the online and the end game content. No pun intended. But so far, story beats. If it might be a perfect GameFly game for someone who just wants the story. Because even my wife's been watching me play this and been very interested in the story mode, and just liking that story of following Kamala along and picking up different Avengers along the way. It's good. It has a lot more heart than I expected.
Yeah, I'm curious to see where they go next, because they're going to be dropping new characters throughout the life of this game. And I'm going to be curious if there will be any more additional campaign content. Will there be an expansion? Will be something to drive people going in, or will it just be those players only really live in, online co-op?
It's the way it's structured. I haven't finished the story yet because I've been very distracted by leveling up characters and stuff. I'm kind of leaning towards there will be kind of like the skill tree levels, which aren't really the story beats. They're kind of the more open things. I think that's what I'm feeling. We'll see, though. Kate Bishop's the first character that's going to drop, and she's dropping, I think, relatively soon. So we won't have to wait too long to find out.
Yeah, she looks pretty cool. Definitely looks cooler than Hawkeye himself. Sorry,
I'm really wondering how they're going to differentiate those two characters enough to justify that they're going to be dropping two of them in a row. We've heard this week, Black Panther might be delayed, or the announcement might be delayed because of everything that's going on, and how do you roll out that character? I've heard the same thing for Fortnite of, so many people saying, like, you better not sell this skin for profit, sell this character pack for profit. Even if they do sell it, I hope the proceeds are going to some sort of cancer research or some sort of charity that Chadwick contributed to or rallied for. And I'm wondering if it's the same with this, but so far the characters aren't paid DLC, so maybe it was just kind of a respect thing in this case.
Sure,
in Fortnite, I'm sure they're figuring out a monetization or just give it away for free. I'm very curious to see who's added to this game. I'm excited to see who else. I was talking to a couple of people about favorite characters, and we all have different ones so far. So it's kind of cool. I think I'm going to be a big fan of Thor in the endgame content. I think that might be my main. That's kind of where I'm leaning.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
So very quickly, I finished Ghost of Tsushima. I hadn't finished it last week, had I?
I don't think so.
I finished the game. It is up there in my top 3 games of the year. It's phenomenal. It's fantastic. Each chapter or act, or whatever it's called, definitely felt fulfilling. It's more front-loaded than it is back-loaded, but it's satisfying. And it gives you choice in certain elements, which are great for storylines. And I did wrap up a couple of the and you can continue to play after, which is great. You can do some story. You can do some side quest cleanup if you want.
Okay.
I enjoyed that because there was a couple of their main missions or main side quests with some of the characters you met over time, which built on the relationships, which was great. And then I saw that all that were left, I'm like, I'm ready to let it go. So I let go of the game, but man, I got my money's worth from renting it from GameFly. But still, it would have been well worth the $60. I mean, I think there's at least 40 hours of gameplay in that game if you really want to get into it. So
fantastic.
Cannot recommend that game enough.
So you said top 3 for the year. Where would you put it in PlayStation exclusives or even PlayStation first-party games? Where does it rank on the ones that you've played so far? Does it still crack top 3, top 5?
Good question. Wow. Because it's got a lot of good company.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely top 10. It just depends on where it is with that. I know it's like a cop out, but maybe it's in the 6 and above range of PlayStation exclusives. But it's definitely there. And maybe I'll change my mind after time when they add the legends in. And if I go back and play it again, I'm like, this is even better. But it's definitely a welcome addition to the PlayStation library, which is great.
Awesome. That's great. Just to put you on the spot, what would your top 3, in no necessary order, but what would you say ranks above it in the PlayStation pantheon?
Let's see. Wow, let's see. Just PlayStation overall, I would say Last of Us Part 1 would be number 1. God of War would be number 2. Let's see. Ooh. I'm trying to think. I don't want to give any other franchises short shrift because I loved the Infamous games. Really, I mean, I think they're underappreciated. So I'd say like Infamous Part 2 is probably like top 5. Probably. Wow. I know, like I haven't even talked about Uncharted.
I know, I'm
Ratchet and Clank.
Spot,
that's a hard one. I'll have to think about that because if I put them all out since the first PlayStation, there's some probably that I don't.
PlayStation 4, just PlayStation.
Okay, PlayStation 4. Yeah, then I'd be like God of War would be my number 1. Then it would probably be Spider-Man would probably be number 2. Probably then Last of Us Part 2, Ghost of Tsushima would probably be number 4, and then I would think Ratchet and Clank, the current that one that's on PlayStation 4 is probably my number 5 because I love that game to pieces.
Great list. Sorry to put you on the spot there. That was fun though.
I'm sure I'm forgetting a bunch.
I love
I'm getting
hearing inside your head a little. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah,
I will not put you on the spot, Mark. I'm too respectful. I'm a gentleman.
For PlayStation games, I'd say, Spider-Man would be 1. Uncharted as a series because I played the full collection, and then 4. So I guess they maybe 2 and 3, or if that maybe can count as 2. I really did. I enjoyed Infamous as well, and I haven't played God of War yet. I really need to get to that. So that's. But I have a feeling that would be way up there. If not like. Yeah, I just have a feeling that would be even maybe take over my number 1 from Spider-Man. But I'm a bad PlayStation player, so I'm gonna leave it at that, I guess.
Well, I will say this: the longer you wait, the older your son gets, and you play God of War,
right? That
game will have more prescience. So
my brother has a physical copy. He just keeps saying like, "Here, take it." Playing other things. So I really need to take him up on that for sure. Very soon.
Excellent. Yeah. So I'm going to talk about Samurai Jack really quick.
Yeah.
I ended up playing this on Apple Arcade. I played it with the Xbox One controller. Controls, everything worked great. Seamless. I got my month free trial. Also tried Sayonara Wild Hearts, which I liked a lot from the very limited amount I played. Yeah, very pretty, very beautiful. Music's great. But Samurai Jack, I don't have anything to judge it off of, but this game, give it kudos for definitely embracing the series, doing the production values seem high, and everything seems to work in regards to gameplay. But this feels like a 2001 game with a fresh coat of paint. It
Gotcha.
does not feel like a modern game whatsoever, and that really disheartened me to really want to play more. I played a little bit, but it feels like there's just too many bad guys to kill just because there's not a lot of like meat on the bone. There's traversal kind of sucks. Like there's a staircase and you're walking beside it, but if you think, hey, I could just jump up it this way. No, you can't. You have to go around and climb it up. I'm like, why? I could jump above it. And yeah. And I don't know. And like I said, I couldn't compare this to another system like a PS4 Pro or anything else like that. But the game looks it's crisp, but undetailed. It looks very much like a mobile game. And like I said, I don't know if that's the Apple Arcade version is dumbed down to work on the hardware or whatever. I don't know if there's a comparison video, but I kind of felt like it works for the style because it's very clean and things like that. But it just does not look like a game this could have been a very early gen PlayStation 3, Xbox 360 game for what it's worth. So yeah. I'm glad I didn't pay for the $120 special edition, unless I got the crap. But yeah, the game, I'm glad I did not pay for the game, which just makes me sad.
That's good. One special edition I regret not buying is the Tony Hawk one. Man, I've been seeing pictures of those skateboards, and I am severely regretting not getting that special edition. But yeah, I remember when you mentioned Samurai Jack, I had asked if the Apple Arcade version is the same as the console. So maybe I'll have to look up some comparison videos and see if they are the same. That's an interesting plot point, I guess, to this game. If you can, take your free trial and get it basically for free or whatever, or pay for a console version that is maybe superior, but maybe it's the exact same game. I don't know at this point. So. Yeah,
and it's only a $40 game, and it's actually not available. It's only limited physical through limited run games too.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Pain in the arse. I've been playing a mobile game as well. It's called Bacon, the game, and it's available for free, at least on iPhone. I don't know about Android. It was just kind of recommended. It came up in the app store as like recommended games, and it is the dumbest thing I've ever played, but I get so much joy out of it. Basically, it starts off and there's a disembodied hand on one side of your screen dangling some bacon, and they drop it when you tap the screen, and that lands in a little frying pan and makes a very satisfying sizzling sound. And then you tap again to flip the frying pan, and you have to land the bacon strip on objects. Some of those objects that I have encountered so far are a picture of Kevin Bacon.
Bacon on bacon.
Bacon on bacon. Bacon on a handsome cowboy, which was funny because it took a screenshot of my face or a selfie of my face and put it on a cowboy's body with a comical mustache. There was bacon on a grocery list, and all the items on the grocery list were misspelled. like bananas and chocolate, CHOL or OCLIT, bacon on Mount Everest. And my bacon on Mount Everest, I'm just going to challenge anyone. I landed my bacon to make it look like a rainbow on Mount Everest. You can take screenshots of everything. It encourages you to take screenshots when you landed on something. Again, Cinderella's glass slipper. Nailed it right inside the slipper there. It is the stupidest game I've ever played, and this classical music plays every time you complete a level. It's so dumb, but it's free, so go try it.
I was just opening up the App Store, saw it. Yeah, you can put bacon on the moon. Yep. Which I thought was an interesting scenario, that bacon has never been on the moon before. What?
Not, yeah. Some of the stages are literally so simple and dumb that you can let it slide down the frying pan and it lands on the thing and you just win.
I like that.
Others are so mind-blowingly frustrating that you have to flip the bacon at the exact right angle and hope that it lands, and the bacon's slippery and the things are angled, and it's like, why would you create this level? And you can skip levels, but I haven't skipped a level so far. So it is the mobiliest mobile game I've ever played, and it's such a fun little time sink that you could sink, I'm sure, an hour into, or 3 minutes while you're waiting in a lineup somewhere. So Bacon, the game.
Is this brought to you by the Pork Federation?
Quite possibly. I'm not sure even who made it. I have. Do you have it up there on your app store?
I do.
Feel like I should give this a shout out.
Philip Stollenmeyer was the app creator.
Okay.
Single guy.
Just a fella.
He won't be any longer. All the ladies will come for him and his bacon money.
Yeah, this guy's also made Sticky Terms, a game of untranslatable words. Song of Bloom, Story in Pieces.
Seesaw! The Die with Daycare. Oh my god, that game. I've seen it before. It's so crazy. Okay. Oh, and that's a payable game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Seesaw tries to kill you. Yeah. Okay. It's got two blades on the ends of it. Yeah.
Based on Bacon, it might be worth. Oh, there's Burger the game too. Oh, and Pancake the game. There we go. So if you don't like bacon,
that's just silly. You can't do Pancake. A burger game.
Well, apparently you can't. There's another one here called Sometimes You Die. I want to pick up everything this guy's ever made. So Philip Stollenmeyer, thank you for Bacon the game. It is fan-frickin-tastic.
Nice. I played a game on Xbox, Ultimate Game Pass, and that was called West of Dead. You might remember this game. It's very stylistic. Looks like a top-down type of Diablo type game.
Yes.
It's in the Old West. Ron Perlman does the voiceover. He's got like a flaming head. You shoot guys. It looks like it's set in the Old West. And I'm like, this seems like I could really get in this game. So I'm playing this game. It's really cool. You use light to light up your environment. So you have to flick on these old oil lamps to show you more of the level. It's in single rooms. You have to basically dodge bullets from the zombies and creatures of the night that are shooting at you, attacking you, throwing dynamite. And the more light you have, it basically causes them to be stunned. And then you can take some shots. You get two different weapons typically. I've got a shotgun, a long gun, a revolver, and you run out of bullets. They reload, things like that. Cool. Different power-ups. And it's very cool. It's very stylistic, very neat. The art style is very minimalistic. I enjoyed it a lot, but I did not realize this was a roguelike game. Todd, no likey the roguelike. I die, do all this progress. I'm like, okay, maybe I'll just restart and I'll just be at a checkpoint and can finish, pick up my gear or something like that. Nope. You start off completely from scratch, no weapons. You're back to like level 1 guns and things like that. Yeah. And I get it. I don't know if it's procedurally generated either. So I didn't even take the time to find out because I'm like, yeah, I could get better at the levels, but I already played those levels, so I'm kind of over those levels. I don't have to prove myself again. So kind of how I feel about roguelites.
Sometimes I like roguelites where it's like, there is some sort of progression, but but you feel like you're accomplishing something. A true rogue-like, where you literally, it is like playing in an arcade where, you die and then you put another quarter in and you're starting at the start of the, those often piss me off. So I might skip West of Dead.
Which is such a shame because I really like the combat, like all those things, but I'm like, I don't want to start again. I just feel like my time is more valuable than that. Which is a shame because I think they had something going. So maybe in 2021 we'll see less roguelikes. That'd be great because I think a lot of these guys, that's a turnoff to a lot of people, and it could open up people. And maybe in settings they could make it like the roguelike. Turn the switch.
I'm excited for like Rogue Legacy 2. I really like the first Rogue Legacy, but it was the weird humor of like genetic defects of going against your gameplay and kind of feeling like I was at least progressing up a family line or something like that in that game. Dead Cells is another one that I really enjoyed. That type of game, but I think again I have to feel some semblance of progress. So yeah, there we go. The last one I've been playing, I did mention that I was experiencing a little bit of nostalgia this week, and since it wasn't with Tony Hawk, I got a hankering to play Pokemon Gold. I'm not sure where it came from. I had even lent my 3DS out to a friend of mine who wanted to play a couple of games that I owned on there. But I got that 3DS back, and I was like, I need this back because I need to play Pokemon Gold. And I've been playing it. I started it over 4 times so I could send all the starters to my Pokemon Home app, even though they can't transfer to the new games. So they're just literally stuck there forever. But anyway, I'm very much enjoying Pokemon Gold. I could have played Heart Gold because I have that cartridge. But I chose to play just the original Pokemon Gold and on the Virtual Console, and it is still fantastic. That is such a great game. I'm very much enjoying it, and it's a weird little like I said, like Avengers is so high quality and high production and 4K and this and that and whatever, and then it's like this little barely colorized Pokemon game that I'm just very much enjoying the hell out of. So yeah, Pokemon Gold.
Gold. Well, I'll give you some gold, Mark. Some Netflix gold. This isn't applying. This is what I've been watching. Very quickly, I'm not sure if this is available on Netflix Canada, but High Score. Oh, my goodness.
So great.
This is great. It's by the people who brought the toys that made us. Same documentary crew. I believe there's 6 episodes long, but this is about video games. It's called High Score, because you used to have to get a high score on the leaderboard to prove that you're excellent. Every episode feels like it's got a theme, and there is a purpose. It is not an all-encompassing year 1 of video games to year 2000. It is setting the stage for the theme of the episode and playing around with elements of it and always getting back to it. And I kind of felt like they encompassed it very well. The first episode felt like it was really geared around arcades and kind of where it was going with arcades, and paired with some of the, I guess you'd say, like some of the creative talent who did it as well, and kind of like the elements of the time as well, and a lot of cool archival footage as well, which is great. We've watched 2 episodes so far. There are 4 more episodes after that. The next episode, I believe, is going to be all about MMOs, which is kind of cool. But I got my son to watch the first 2 episodes, and he loved it. My wife watched it, so it's really cool. A well-told story about anything is entertaining.
Yeah, I agree. I am also on episode 3, so perfect that we're in sync with this. I completely mirror everything you said. I don't think I can add. It's a great production value, very well told individual stories that make an overarching series kind of thing, all about video games. If you're listening to this podcast, obviously you like gaming, check this out. High Score on Netflix. So good. I can't believe I forgot to add that to my list. I'm very happy that you added it to yours.
I was thinking about that. Yeah, and there's a game I'll talk about in a future episode. It's not really compelling at this point, but I will talk about it at a later date. But with that, Mark, we go into Newsflash. Well, Mark, another episode passed. We did not get any announcements for consoles, but I put a little dig out on the Twitters that said, what will come first, a Nintendo Direct or release and launch info for next-gen consoles. Well, I did that, and guess what happened? We got a Nintendo Direct.
Did we ever? A surprise one that had no lead-up whatsoever. It was just like, here's the tweet, and there it went. So I thought this was a good one. Let's get impressions first. What did you think overall before we even detail what's in this? What did you think of this?
I mean, from a presentational standpoint.
Overall, yeah. Overall. What was your feeling?
Because I kind of feel like at this point, Nintendo just stopped caring about doing anything more than just play the background music and dump in the video. So they don't do any wacky things anymore, really, which is fine. Yeah. But overall, I thought it really delivered on what a lot of people have been waiting for, which is good. Because it was funny. I was listening to NBC today, and they said it's been over a year since the last proper Nintendo Direct. I'm like, it has been. Holy cow. So this is good timing. And, you never want to miss a birthday, especially for Mario. Come on.
Yeah.
He's the godfather of video games.
They didn't they? Like, they missed it by a couple of days. Like, why not drop this on the actual birthday thing? Anyway, I thought, like you said, they've gotten away from the charm I feel that the old Direct sometimes had with the goofiness and the little skits and stuff and hosted by puppets and whatever else. But overall, game-wise and announcement-wise, I thought this was great, even if it was little fanfare leading up to it. But you want to just let's go through some of the announcements that we got. So Super Mario 3D All-Stars released on Switch, surprise drop September 18th. So we don't even have to really wait for this. It was like instantly pre-order up on all the sites, digital pre-order. The weird thing about this one is that you can only buy this even digitally until March 31st. After that, they cease to exist. And the games that will cease to exist include Super Mario 64, Super Mario Sunshine, and Super Mario Galaxy. 3 absolutely phenomenal games. I wish Galaxy 2 was in there, or even if they eventually drop it as DLC, I'll be a happy boy. But Galaxy 2 was, in my opinion, better than Galaxy 1 and improved on that game in several ways. So I'm excited for this. I'm excited to play 64. I'm excited to play Sunshine. I'm sad that these aren't remasters in a way. I'm also sad that 64, they didn't remaster it even to the point of making it 1080p. This is 720 even on your television, which I think is unfortunate because so many of us have 4K TVs, and I'm kind of curious to see how that looks 720. Being upscaled on a 4K TV. But either way, I'm excited for this, even though there are some glaring oddities. How are you feeling about this one?
I am surprised. If you ask me what I'd rather have remasters where there's care and especially after we've seen what they've done with Mario 64 on the Dolphin emulator and the Unreal Engine. So there's things that they could have done to make it look better, but they didn't. They cleaned it up, really. They just basically up-resed it. Assets looked clean, very sharp. Those polygons could cut you like a fool, Mark. Mario is sharp. But I'm happy for this because at least these games are playable. They have not been playable in a long time, which is kind of sad because they've just been sitting there. So it's great to have them. They will support Joy-Con. So if you think about how the Wiimote worked for Galaxy, how it's going to control will be interesting in regards to the camera and the controls for those older games, because Mario 64 had some issues with the camera where it was kind of a static. The C-stick kind of moved it around in 8 directions.
There was no C-stick. For the N64 controller, there was no C-stick. It was C buttons.
So that's right.
Very stiff camera controls because you were pressing a button to move the control incrementally around. So that one's going to be interesting, but they did solve that already on, other iterations, like the Wii U version was fine. It worked. What I'm really curious about control wise, for the other 2 games, one, there's no analog trigger on the Switch. So how is Sunshine going to get the that trigger for GameCube was such an important part of that game, where you could spray a tiny bit of water, you could do a tiny little bit or a whole lot, depending on how you depress that trigger. And I'm curious how they translate that over to Switch, if it's just going to be an all or nothing kind of thing. And apparently you can't even use the GameCube adapter for this, which would have solved that problem for anyone that wants to play it. Yeah. I haven't confirmed that from a source other than my cousin. So take that.
Your cousin that works at Nintendo?
No, he definitely doesn't. He's an engineer. He's a smart fella, but does not. Anyway, he just told me that today. And I take him for his word on that one, that it apparently he read somewhere that it's not going to support the GameCube adapter. The other thing that has a lot of people concerned for Super Mario Galaxy is, will you be able to play this without the separated Joy-Con? Will you be able to play this in handheld or, more importantly, on a Switch Lite? Because they made a big deal about being able to play it with the two separated Joy-Con, emulating the the Wiimote and the Nunchuck from the Wii, from the original, and that was used to spin Mario and point at stars and do all that kind of fun stuff. But will this have a modern control scheme that can still work, especially, like I said, on a Switch Lite? Because if it doesn't, they really need to say that before people start pre-ordering it and can't play it on the system that they want to play it on.
I think that was addressed, Mark, and you will have to have another set of Joy-Cons to do this. So I hate to say this. I keep saying this. The Switch Lite, I don't know who wanted it. It's cheaper, and that's great. The only benefit. I hate to say this point. It's cheaper, and that's the only benefit, except for that C pad, but whatever. But yeah, because it just makes you spend more money in the long run, and it has less features. So, well. But yeah, I'm curious to see what they do. I think the reason why this is going in the Disney Vault, because they borrowed the Disney Vault from Disney now, because they don't have any room. Apparently, they said you can take the Disney Vault off our hands, is because they will eventually sell each of these separately at a higher price.
That's the only logical explanation, especially for digital. If this game just magically disappears April 1st and they're like, hey, anyone, if you buy a Switch April 1st next year, because there are still people buying their first Switch every day. The thing is still hard to come by. Is Nintendo, Nintendo's a weird company, but are they actually going to say, hey, here's 3 super popular Super Mario games, but sorry, you bought a Switch a day too late, now we don't want your money?
We warned you.
I guess. I don't know. And it just it creates this false scarcity of scalpers picking up extra copies, and it's just, you'll see someone buy it on a Switch and then sell that Switch April 1st for $1,000 because it's like, here's the digital edition of this stupid thing. So I hate every single part of that, but I'm a dumb monkey, so I also pre-ordered it.
I did too. I think this. I think it's great that these games are coming back, and it does make me sad though that we may never see a remaster of it, because they're basically saying, well, we gave you these, so you'll never see them again. So, and I know people have said Super Mario Sunshine I really enjoyed, but I know it had a lot of problems, and if they did not fix those problems, it's still the same game that a lot of people said I gave up or I didn't like or didn't enjoy back in the day. I did though. So
yeah, I own a copy of that game. I own a physical copy of all of these games, so I really don't need this. But do I want to go and hook up my N64? Do I want to go and hook up my GameCube? Do I want to go and hook up my Wii? The answer is no for all of those questions. I want these all on a modern console that I can also carry with me anywhere. So that's why I pre-ordered this. But there are definitely some glaring, just stupid little issues.
Nintendo loves to hug you and then kick you in the balls at the same time. I don't know if that's possible, but here's they do.
They can figure out a way. One that doesn't seem to be doing any ball kicking, and it just seems to be delightful, is Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, arriving on Nintendo Switch February 21st, 2021. So we do have a little bit of a wait for this one, but Super Mario 3D World is a fantastic game. It's 4-player, cooperative, fun cat suits. It is a really, really solid Mario game. And anyone that missed it, the millions of you that missed it on Wii U, you get a chance to play it now. And plus a Bowser's Fury DLC, which I'm sure they're tacking on to justify the full $60 or $80 Canadian price of this game. There are also a couple of adorable amiibo, which I'm kind of out of the amiibo game at this point, but if that's still your jam, Cat Mario, Cat Peach arriving. I've seen both a double pack and an individual packs of these, so I don't know if there's any money saving with the double pack, but they're all for pre-order as well. And they look like they got like a, what's that stuff on the ceiling that it's like popcorn ceilings or whatever?
Well, I heard they're like, are they fuzzy?
But they don't look fuzzy.
No, they kind of look like they're
on them
frosted, like there's frosting or something.
Yeah, it looks like a popcorn ceiling. Like it's that like weird ceiling texture. That's not on my ceiling or apparently on yours. But yeah, anyway, they do look cute. So I'm looking forward to playing that game again. My wife absolutely loves that. There was no question. As soon as she saw this direct, she was like, oh yeah, we need to play that again. I was like, well, the Wii U's right there. She's like, no, we need
it's trash. They're doing trash.
We need this on the Switches. So anyway, we'll be double dipping again for that one.
Yeah, Logan loved that game. We played it together. It was a ton of fun. And yeah, adding the extra content does add value to it versus, hey, it's an 8-year-old game. Pay $60 because we've done all this work on it by just porting it over.
Yeah, pretty much. But it is, it's again, and Nintendo showed off this graphic of all of the Super Mario games that are available on Switch or that will be available on Switch. And that just, it's one that's, there's nothing else with that style of Mario game, that kind of isometric side angle, top down ish kind of view. There's nothing like that. They haven't ported over, 3D Land, which was fantastic, 3DS or anything like that. So these games are definitely different and different than the other 3D All-Star package. So
yes.
It rounds out that Super Mario kind of selection, I suppose. What did you think about, was it Mario Kart Live Home Circuit?
This is pretty cool.
Left field. Yeah,
this is pretty cool because Mario, there's always been like Mario RC cars. They've not been great, but they've been something to give the kids and have fun with. So we're basically given the appearance of a new Mario Kart game out of the blue. We're like, what is this? Because the guy's playing on a Switch, and it's like a first-person view of like a different environment, like your home environment. I'm like, what is this thing? And they kind of done AR on Switch, which really hasn't been done before, which is very cool because the Switch doesn't have a camera. So basically they are bringing out these RC cars with a camera, and they're incorporating your home to make your own tracks utilizing these 4 track markers. So there's 4 of them. The camera recognizes it and basically puts it in its memory of where it's positioned, and you build the track. And it's very cool. I mean, there's so many opportunities to have fun with this. Now, and you just set this up in your home. I don't know how big you can get or how small you can get. I don't know how well these cars work on carpet or not. And you are either playing it solo with AI, where you've got virtual racers against you. They're basically all of the attacks can attack you and slow you or stop you in real life, which is very cool. So your car stops. It would be kind of cool if they had like a swing, like a swirling mechanic,
kind of spin
where you
mechanic,
spun. But apparently that's not in there. But that could be really cool if they did that. Mm-hmm. Or you can add in another racer. I'm not sure if one more is the maximum, or you can add in more than that. But you can add in Luigi, and then have Luigi race against you as well. Apparently you'll probably need 2 Switches for that to happen, and then 2 cars. So it's $100 each. And it's kind of cool. I mean, it's not for me, but if you've got little kids and you just want to have fun with your kid, this could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure. I'll say it's probably not for me either. If Finn was a little bit older, 100% day one, I would have already been trying to pre-order this. But realistically, I highly doubt I'll get into this. But I did instantly send it to my sister with my 6 and 8 year old nephews and said, I apologize for what I'm about to do to your house, the cats, and your wallet. Here you go. And they lost their minds when they saw this. It is such a cool bit of technology and a cool, fun toy. I love when Nintendo does some really, really weird stuff. And this is really, really weird.
Yeah,
if you told
definitely.
If you asked me which company would be the first one to hit a mainstream AR game, Nintendo would probably not be the one. I know like Microsoft has worked on AR with their HoloLens. I don't know if like PlayStation has really dabbled too much other than PlayStation camera AR kind of stuff maybe. This is a whole other level of cool and integrating that cool AR camera into the game, into your Switch as a control. It is so cool. If you have, and my nephews already love remote control cars. They already love Mario Kart. This is just a out of the park home run on all angles for those two kids. It is absolutely incredible. I am super impressed, but yeah, like you said, not for me.
Yeah. Nintendo doubled down on some memorabilia and physical tchotchkes you can buy this time. One they brought out is the Super Mario Brothers classic Game & Watch device. Ooh. So I had a Game & Watch growing up as a kid. It was you had to balance these pies that were on fire, and you had a little I forgot what it was called, but that's what you did. It was very simplistic gaming. Yeah. And it was one screen. They had dual screens as well back in the day. I even bought my wife a little handheld one on a keychain they made back in the day. It was called Octopus. So she loves that. It's really cool. But they brought this out. It plays Super Mario Brothers. It has a watch on it so you can tell the time because you need that. And then it also has the lost levels as well, which is Super Mario Brothers 2. $50, and then 35 little touches to discover as well. $50, nowhere yet where you can pre-order it. And once again, this will probably sell out. So gird your loins, folks.
Yeah, I own Super Mario Brothers 600 different ways. But I want this. For some stupid reason. It is so cute. And I have a Game & Watch that was through Club Nintendo. So that one was a little tough to get, but I got it. And I want this one. I'm going to be fighting to get it, but I don't need it whatsoever. There's again something in my stupid little brain that's like, yeah, you need this. I'm broken. I know that, but I want that. The next little bit, definitely not. Although while we're talking about physical stuff, let's talk about they're doing some other cool promotion-y things with like shirts. They're doing like a promotional giveaway with something we'll talk about in a little bit. The collectible pin set. They're doing some shoes. They're doing just a bunch of like really cool things that some of them are like super Mario-esque looking, and others like the shoes are just kind of subtle, like they're Mario colors, but they still kind of look like some kick-ass shoes. I'm
sorry, but those shoes are horribly designed. They look like they're like Grandpa's Velcro shoes that he gets or something from 1985. But maybe that's the whole point.
That's what I love about them. Yeah, they look so retro. They look like bowling shoes, but comfortable.
They do.
They're I don't know. I love them. I love that they're doing this kind of stuff to celebrate Mario, and they're teaming up with some really cool companies to do it. They're not just throwing a Mario label on like a Fruit of the Loom shirt and calling it a sundae. They're doing some actual cool partnerships. We've seen some stuff with Lego already and Levi's, and they're just extending that. So really cool. Another thing completely not physical but completely out of left field, Super Mario Brothers 35, a Mario Battle Royale I don't even know what to say about this one. I did not see this coming. Tetris 99 did not prepare me for what I was about to see here. It is Super Mario Brothers, like the original game, but you're versus 35 players, competitive online battle, where you're going through the original game, it seems, and the enemies that you kill show up on someone else's screen, so you never know what's going to be flying at you at any time. Again, this one's digital only for Nintendo Switch Online players or members. And again, they have that stupid March 31st date on here. So between October 1st and March 31st, you can play this game, and then it disappears forever because nobody loves fun after March.
Why? They didn't throw Tetris 99 in the vault.
That's like they've continuously added things and like added whatever themes and whatever to Tetris 99.
Is that when Mario dies? Is this like look in the future? That's when he dies. All the gaming fun ends.
Yeah. What? Why March 31st? What is that the day that fun dies? Like what is that date?
Apparently so.
Why?
Well, that's the end of their fiscal calendar, Mark. So.
I don't get it at all. It's driving me crazy to try to figure out why that date is like, hey, let's kill Mario.
Because on April 1st, you can buy it for $500. They're going to sell it for an exorbitant amount of money. Or it dies. Give us the money or it dies, kids.
Maybe. I don't know.
Mario
so
does have mob ties. We never talked about that, though.
It's so weird. If this game – and here's the thing. If this game is super fun and people are still playing it, can you imagine that this game is like, okay, I'm not going to say Fortnite, but like Fall Guys level popular. And it is like the cat's meow for several months and maybe drops off a tiny bit, but it's still like streaming gold and people are loving it. And like March 31st comes on and it's only had, let's say, a 40% player drop off or even 60% player drop off, but there's still a decent amount of players playing this worldwide, streaming it, doing all that kind of stuff. Are they actually going to pull the plug on this on March 31st? Like April 1st, is this, no matter, like there's 60 million players playing this game or whatever, like are they actually still going to just be like, nah, thanks bro? Or like, is this like, what is their plan here? Come on. I don't like, how many players are concurrently playing Tetris 99? Like, is it hard to find a match there a year or more later or whatever, whenever that game launched? Like, I'm still hearing good things about Tetris 99. And I stopped playing that long ago. I don't know.
Nothing makes the Disney fans happier when they tell you they've reopened the Disney Vault. This is all about the tease,
I guess,
and reveal. It's back again. Mm-hmm. And people are happy. It's like the re-release of the NES Classic. You know, it's the yeah, which is frustrating because you never have to feel, you would never want to feel like you are playing with your consumer, your fans, like emotions. But in a lot of ways, Nintendo kind of does. They like to play with your nostalgia and your emotions, which is sad. Come on, Mario, be better.
They definitely pulled me in all directions on this one. So I go from incredibly frustrated to that announcement to like incredibly joyful that Super Mario All-Stars was released the day this Direct came out on Nintendo Switch Online. So you open up the Super Nintendo app and it's right there and it plays great and it's fantastic and it's just free if you have Nintendo Switch Online. And so it was like, why are they doing? Oh, never mind. Distracted by the shiny thing. So it's like every single time they were like, they had me questioning, like, why are you doing that stupid, never mind, dangly, shiny thing over here? And it was constant, this like weird pull and push kind of is. Anyway, Super Mario All-Stars, if you haven't checked that out, Switch, Nintendo Switch Online, free, Super Nintendo app.
I never played that before. I gave it a whirl. And I'm like, this is like a weird, bizarro thing that I don't know if I like it or not.
I never owned this as a kid. My cousin owned it, and I remember playing it and thinking the same thing back in the day. Like these are the games that I love, but they don't look the same, but it's not a bad look, but it's still making
just
me
seems off.
Weirdly uncomfortable. So yeah, but I loved playing it on the Switch. I was playing it the other day, and just because of that weirdness, I kind of very much enjoyed it.
Yeah. And I think one of the cool parts is if you participate in all these events, you have the opportunity to win a collectible pin set. There is a set of basically events you have to do. Some are easy and you can do them right now, but some you have to wait. And one of those things you have to wait on is playing Mario Kart on iOS and Android to wait till there's a certain event, and you have to do so many before you can get credit for doing those. So I think that's what I have left to do. Maybe there's something else.
There's the pre-order or buy Super Mario All-Stars 3D or whatever it's called. So I was really hoping when I pre-ordered that one, it would count for that, but I'm guessing it's not until they actually charge my account.
Yeah, once it's actually on your system, I assume. So, same thing with the physical. You actually put the card in there and register, and it goes. Yeah.
The other thing, like you said, so that starts September 9th and runs till the 23rd. So that's your small little window.
Good luck, kids.
Mario Kart Tour is going to have a special Super Mario Kart Tour event. And that features special appearances by Mario and Donkey Kong Jr. from the Super Mario Kart game for the Super Nintendo. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to re-download this game and do what I have to do just to try to get those collectible pins, because that is literally the only thing that I haven't done yet. The rest of them were all through the website or, like I said, buying that 3D All-Stars game.
Whew. Well, we got something. Now, I will say, Mark, is there anything you wish they would have done that they didn't?
Aside from nitpicking stuff, like I mentioned before, I wish the games in the 3D collection were remasters rather than just kind of re-releases. I wish there was a little bit more clarity on the controls. How is Sunshine going to control that kind of stuff that I already went through? But realistically, they knocked so much out of the park with this. Stuff we did mention. There's going to be a Smash Brothers Ultimate tournament. There's going to be a Splatfest. They said they were done with Splatfest. We've had a couple. This is a brand new one, so that's exciting. We mentioned there's going to be collectibles, but there's going to be also keychains and T-shirts on My Nintendo, the store. You can already get the T-shirts. I haven't seen the keychains show up yet. And then furniture in Animal Crossing New Horizons. So there's so much stuff here. I could nitpick things and say, where's my Galaxy 2 or whatever. But overall, I thought this was a great way to celebrate my favorite mustachioed Italian plumber.
Well, you know me.
What about you?
I can't be happy with anything. But,
I figured that was.
I felt this is the least they could do, because I think everything they talked about that they showed, Super Mario World, the collection, it kind of was all kind of well-known secrets. But I kind of feel like it's his birthday. It's the year. How about the year of Mario, guys? We have the year of Luigi. Why are we stopping after 2 months? You can continue to do things for Mario. And one of the things I really wanted was a new Mario game. All of these things are things that have already existed. There's nothing new here except the Mario 35, which I'll give them the credit for. But I really want a new Mario game. It's been almost 4 years since Odyssey has launched. I really want a new Mario game. So that's what I want. I wanted Mario to have a new Mario game for his birthday. So I still want that. And I think 2020 will go by the year of as the year of Animal Crossing and ports, unfortunately. So, which I wasn't expecting the new game this year, but I kind of expect next year. So I need something to keep me going, Mark. But I will play this because I've only played a little bit of 64, so I will play that. So that was my only real nitpick, was I really wanted a new game for Mario.
Yeah, I was really expecting at least a new proper Mario Kart game. And this little augmented reality thing is fun. That is a really, really cool toy, and I'm sure will be the hot rage item for Christmas, because it is launching October, November-ish,
October,
right around that time. Yeah, so it's going to be that's going to be the holiday gift, right? But even if they had announced, and I think I speculated on this before, they brought landscape mode to Mario Kart Tour for phones and whatever. I really thought that was going to be preparation for that to come to Switch and to add a little bit of that game. And it doesn't seem like, unless they just randomly drop that later on, it doesn't seem like that's the case. So I am still waiting on a Super Mario Kart game proper, but we'll take what we can get. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, that's all you could want from Mario Direct. But we are now getting into what we didn't talk about last week because it didn't happen, which was the DC Fandom. We got the two basically Batman games announced. The first was Gotham Knights, which we thought was going to happen. It did. That is by WB Montreal, and it's going to be a 4-player co-op Gotham game. It's not within the Arkham universe, and Batman is dead. And you essentially have to take down the criminals of Arkham yourself. But you can play co-op, which is so cool. What do you think, Mark? Did you like that?
I did, yeah. And I thought it was weird that you can play co-op. There's 4 characters, but you can only play 2-player co-op. But apparently they've explained that in an article that I didn't read. But I thought this game looked really, really cool. It did confuse me that this, to me, looked more like an Arkham game, but is not in that universe. And the Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is apparently in the Arkham universe, even though there's a very different looking Deadshot in there. So confusing stuff in the WB Arkhamverse game stuff, but I thought this looked badass as F. I love that there's, the 4 different characters. You can pick one and play through it, or you can mix it up. You can both, unlike Avengers, where you have to pick different characters. So if I'm Thor, you can't be Thor. In this one, if you want to be Batgirl and I want to be Batgirl, we can both be different Batgirls, and we can dress the exact same, or we can pick different skins and different skill trees and that kind of stuff, and just play the way we want to. Yeah, this looks really, really cool.
Yeah, it won't be awkward at all being 2 Batgirls.
Why would it?
Exactly.
I mean, it's a video game. They're
I know you.
They're leaning into it. They know it's a video game, and they're saying, you know what? None of this makes sense. So why not just go have fun with it? We did, all the speculation was true. This does revolve, or at least kind of put in the Court of Owls storyline. If you haven't read Court of Owls, I don't want to spoil anything, but there's some fun things they could do with the Court of Owls, because Batman's dead in this one. But if you've read Court of Owls, you know some stuff that maybe could be some really fun twisty turnies in this game that I'm really excited for this.
Yeah, I am too. The fact that they're layering that on into this series is really cool. And I will say this. Kids, if you think Batman's really dead, he's probably
not. I was trying to avoid that kind of spoilery bit, but there are some really fun ways that they could bring Batman back with the Court of Owls kind of stuff. And looking forward to this one for sure.
Yeah, the other game that was announced from Rocksteady, the team who was behind the Arkham series of games, is Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Now, a lot of people, when they heard about this concept, seemed like, wow, sounds like hot trash in the summer. It sounds bad. I don't want to play as a Suicide Squad. The movie sucked. Blah, blah, blah. Then we saw the trailer. And the trailer has dropped. This is going to be a 4-player game, essentially. Can be 4-player or 1-player, 3 AI. Basically, you're playing as the Suicide Squad. The teammates you have are Harley Quinn. You have Killer Shark. You have King Shark.
King Shark.
Yep, my bad.
Captain Boomerang.
Yep, and Deadshot.
Yep.
And Mark, what game, when you saw how it looked, what did you think of that game?
Oh, balls! What? The name completely just escaped me. It's an Xbox exclusive.
Is it Sunset Overdrive?
There we go. Thank you. Yep, Sunset Overdrive. 100% those kind of vibes.
I couldn't believe it. I mean, obviously the premise seems kind of weird, but we've got the Suicide Squad set up. They're brought in. They're talking to Amanda Waller, and these characters are so charming. And the way they're brought in, it just seems so well crafted in regards to what they were going to do with them and how they thought they would be useful. And then they showed how potentially these characters will play. We didn't see gameplay. We saw basically a CGI trailer, but what they intended by the actual trailer, the way the movement worked, the fact that you've got King Shark in a jetpack with a machine gun, the way Boomerang moves, Captain Boomerang looked awesome.
Yeah, that like teleport Boomerang, I guess, or fast travel Boomerang, whatever it is. He throws it and then he shows up where oh man, that looks awesome.
Yeah, it looks really cool, really frantic, really neat. And the hook is really in why you would want to kill the Justice League is it's kind of revealed early on. You see Brainiac's ship, like the classic Brainiac ship crashed. And at this point, we have to believe that Brainiac is now controlling the Justice League. And we're Earth's only hope because Superman is not here to help you.
No, I was surprised with the humor. And again, that's why I said, like, this game doesn't seem like an Arkhamverse game. Those games were so gritty and so serious and everything was so dark. And this game looks so neon and over the top and just hilarious. Not to mention, again, weird characters that were in the Arkhamverse that are not the same in this game. Anyway, whatever. They can set this wherever it wants. It still looks amazing. I'm excited for this one for sure.
Yeah, and we've got time to be excited because it's not till 2022, which means Rocksteady has had plenty of time to work on this, unless they were working on something else and they dumped it and they said, let's do this instead. So, and I'm hoping the movie that supports this film or this game is going to be good as well. So, we shall see.
Yeah, that we didn't get a trailer for that movie. We got behind the scenes snippets,
character bios,
and character reveals, and it looks James Gunn as hell.
Yes,
that's all I'm gonna say about that, man. I'm sure you guys will delve deeper into that as more news comes out on Secret Friends proper, and I can't wait to see a proper trailer for that one. That's for sure.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Know what else is going to be awesome, Mark? In 2021, when we actually get there, we're going to get a new Switch.
Of course, because that wasn't predicted for this year either.
No, not so much. Yeah. So there's reports there's going to be a new Switch. We've got chip makers saying things, leaks all over the place. They're not very specific in where they're going, but they've talked about the screen being more enjoyable, which I don't know what that means. But whatever. We don't care what anybody else thinks. Really quickly, you're asked, you want a new Switch. What do you get with your new Switch?
Just up everything. The screen, I want the screen to be 1080. I want it docked to be 4K. I want it to be able to, even if docked it doesn't hit every game at 4K, I want to be able to choose performance mode the same way I did with Avengers on Xbox One X. So I can choose 4K or I can choose to have the game run silky smooth as hell, and that's what I'm going to choose. But despite it looking really, really good in 4K, I want that silky smooth performance. So that's what I'm hoping for Switch Pro or whatever this is going to be called. And aside from that, like maybe some better Joy-Con, like Pro-Con, analog triggers would be awesome, but at least a proper D-pad or something like that. But even if they went exactly the same with the Joy-Con and everything else, just a better screen and better performance while docked. What about you?
I'm in the same camp, but I want a bigger Switch. I mean, and that would allow us to do Pro controllers as well. And I know people will say, well, they can't do that because of X, Y, and Z. I said, once they basically launch the Switch Lite, the Switch can do any and be anything it wants. Yeah. Not every accessory has to work with it. It just that's how things work. When the new 3DS launched, not everything was. I don't think everything was compatible.
No, there are. So the Switch that I happen to have, or the 3DS that I happen to have right next to me, there are new 3DS exclusive games that can only run on this device. The Super Nintendo games were one of them for whatever weird reason, but there are proper 3DS games that will only run on a new 3DS. And you can look up, they have their own little section in the eShop that says, will only run on this new 3DS. So, yeah, potentially, I mean, the Switch could do that. I have no problem with them iterating like that, where it's backwards compatible with everything, but a couple of titles, might need the new hardware to run. It's time. We've played the hell out of our Switches, and I think iterating on it is the right way to go.
Yeah, and I think from a screen perspective that if you do want a better experience, a more Cadillac experience, Nintendo's done that before. They've made bigger versions of their handhelds. So why not this way? So you can read the text easier. It's easier to see in the eyes. It's a better experience if you want to share with somebody on a gaming table. 5-inch screen is not that big. So why not do something? And we're used to bigger tablets now with the iPad Pros and whatever.
So with your recommendation, and for anyone listening, I'm holding up my Switch here. Would you suggest the overall size stay the same and extend the screen almost right to the edges? Because the Switch has some big ass bezels around it. That's
one way around it.
Would you kind of want them to just extend that so the bezels around your Switch would just be all screen, or are you thinking like, no, give me a monster? Like what's your perfect
I think an 8-inch screen. I think an 8-inch screen, like an 8-inch Fire tablet or whatever, would be perfect size. Go bigger, go bigger, go home. Make it, and I'm perfectly fine with it 350 or whatever. Make the regular, Switch 250, and then make the light, whatever, and have your family devices, and no one has to feel cheated because your point, Mark. You can make all the games work. They're just 720p or 640p on whatever the base version, and then do whatever and go from there. No one gets excluded. You just are going to get the best performance on a better device.
Yeah, we've been talking about this with Xbox for months now, where it seems like they want everything backwards compatible and forwards compatible, and it's just built for Xbox. And if you have the lowest one, it's just like phones, right? Like you can scale it down, you can scale it up, just like PCs. No more of this console barrier kind of thing. And eventually, yes, the lower tier will work out or be kind of phased out or whatever. But for the most part, everything's compatible across all of these Switch devices. I'd even honestly like to see what they could do with a Switch Home Edition, which sounds stupid, but what, the Switch Lite doesn't actually switch, so why not have an actual console again that doesn't undock? It's always just there, right? And maybe that's how they can squeeze out 4K performance out, and this is always just plugged into your TV, and it's a traditional console-esque kind of thing. But maybe that's where they get. So you have your home edition, you have the Switch, which goes back and forth between both, and then you have the Lite, which is purely handheld. So there are a couple of cool things that they could kind of do, and just have, the Switch name is just a name at that point. It's not
absolutely.
A descriptive.
And your standard switches or whatever in handheld mode could be controllers you use on that base Switch as well.
Oh, that'd be neat. Yeah, almost a Wii U style. Oh, that. Yeah.
Why not?
I'm gonna go down a thought path with that one. So let's move on.
Sure.
Bringing back some Wii U asynchronous. The Wii U did some cool stuff that you can't replicate with a Switch right now.
No, you cannot.
You're gonna get my mind going. Anyway, let's move on to the next bit.
Yeah, last story. Going from, I would say, very old tech to tech that will rip your face off and make you pay for it. And that is NVIDIA's RTX 3000 series of graphic cards. The 370, 380, and 390 have been announced. I actually watched this presentation, Mark, which Logan is like, why are you watching this? I'm like, I'm riveted by the tech talk. And it was amazing. Essentially, these are the graphics cards that then power your PCs, your laptops, whatever. NVIDIA also makes the Switch hardware. It's their mobile chipset. Back in the day when they were still making mobile chipsets. I'm not sure if they really are into that game anymore, to be honest.
Yeah,
I know they've kind of walked away from it.
A little bit. I think. I'm not sure. I'm not 100%.
Yeah, I've heard they've been talking about walking away from it because it's just not as – it just hasn't gone the way they wanted it to go. But, yeah, oh, my goodness. So we currently have the 2080 Ti Super, I think is the top end of the cards, and it's about $1,500, okay? They just announced new cards that are $500 that are faster than that.
Yeah.
In the 3070. And they support what they support graphically for the price is amazing. Even the one that is significantly better than the 2080 Ti, the 3080, is only $700.
Mm-hmm. The 3090 is wild.
It's very crazy. Mark, the 3090 is $1,500, which seems crazy. It has 24 gigabytes of RAM.
Yeah.
That is 3x what any graphic card has now.
And that thing, so we're saying this because, obviously, we're thinking of it from a gaming perspective, but that card is really designed to do like some high-end, high-quality video rendering, video editing, like powerhouse kind of work. Like that is
8
what this
monitors at one time.
Yeah, like
8K,
ridiculous
60
kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You can use it for gaming for sure. Like you said, 8K, stable, ridiculous frame rates. If you have the money to drop, but yeah, those lower priced cards are like, fantastic value for what they're producing.
Yeah, typically you don't see tech like come down at that rate in cost, which is just crazy. Yeah, we don't normally see that. And PC is the arms race of graphics, and bigger is better. Lee Navarro, who's been on this podcast, talked about it before. And we joke because we know PC gaming is the powerhouse, and we only try to keep up. But there's a price for that. Because you say, $500 and it does that? Well, that's the price of a new gaming console. I'll just go that route. Well, folks, what you need to do to play those gaming things on the gaming thing is add an extra about $600 to $700 with a case, heatsink, motherboard, RAM, all the fun stuff in OS. And hopefully you already have a gaming monitor that actually supports this. 4K gaming monitors are not cheap.
No, not at all.
Versus a TV. So there you go. So Mark, I know you are not into the PC gaming world, but I think does Mac still support these graphics cards, or they have specific graphics cards for Macs?
So Macs can support eGPUs. So you could potentially. I haven't looked up specifically if these GPUs will work with that kind of thing, and especially with Mac moving to their own custom-made in-house silicon, will that still be compatible in the next year, the next few months? I don't know. For my perspective, like, if I was going to be building a gaming PC, and for the first time that's seeming a little interesting to me, which got me thinking, why does that seem interesting to me right now? I've never had the inclination to build a gaming PC. I'm perfectly fine with my little box that is meant for gaming and gaming only in my Xboxes or PlayStations or whatever. I'm wondering if these are getting so much attention and so much consideration. I'm not the only person that I've seen that has said like, oh, screw a PlayStation or screw an Xbox Series X. I'm getting one of these cards and I'm building a PC or doing that. Is it because of this stupid chicken race that Sony and PlayStation have going on
Probably
right now?
Is. It probably is. Yeah.
Okay. Consider this for a second. Consider a $499 or $599 PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series X that came out with their price, release date, and the ability to pre-order a month ago. And everyone already locked in their pre-orders. We were all good for the fall. Everything was happy. And then NVIDIA announces these GeForce cards, would you still be considering that as an option when you've already put your money down or already put your pre-order down for a next gen console? Right now, a lot of people assume that it's going to be $500-$600 or whatever they have that money put aside. But right now there's nowhere to put that money. So they're looking at these cards going, maybe, like I really think that the consoles dropped the ball on this, and NVIDIA is saying like, whew, man, yeah, we know gamers have money right now. Let's drop these and see if we can steal some of that money away.
Yeah, it's an interesting comparison. I was thinking of the Mac Pro. So the Big Daddy, toss it in there. And I looked I actually just looked really quick. It looks like they deal primarily with ATI, Radeon, AMD versus NVIDIA. But I'm not sure. Maybe they're compatible as well. Don't know anything about that, folks. So please tell me if I'm wrong. But in regards to right now, I have a gaming laptop and I'm stuck. You cannot upgrade the graphics card for that. So I am where I'm at. But I've built towers before. It's great in theory, but no matter who you are, you will always run into issues with PCs. I don't care what you have. You'll have defects. You'll have problems, hardware failures. I hope you like talking to a million different manufacturers for a million different problems, because that's what you will have, because rarely do you have the same part from the same manufacturer, from your RAM to your motherboard to everything. And you'll have conflicts and you'll have issues. And then you have to figure out what's wrong with it. Is it the power supply? Well, I need a power supply, so I have to buy a power supply. And then if something is under warranty, then you have to wait until it's fixed. And I got tired of that. It really wasn't fun. And it wasn't worth the bang for the buck. Because I was spending more than it was for a gaming console, and I was spending more time troubleshooting and doing maintenance. And yeah, it can do more than a console can, but it's plug and play. It's dumb. It's a dumb box that does what you want it to do, and that's what it's there for. And it's also a media center now versus a gaming PC, which it's not designed just for gaming, though. That's the problem with gaming PCs. You've got all this horsepower, but it's typically not harnessed for the hardware you have. Because there's a million different specs, a million different variants of the same graphics cards. So typically, even though you get all that horsepower, you don't get the performance for the dollar. You'll get 4K 60 on an Xbox One X. You cannot do that on a PC for the same cost right now. You've got to spend almost 3x that to get 4K 60. 4K 60 is not easy on PC. Plus, finding, like I said, a 4K monitor, it's just not feasible at an affordable price. Because if you spend $400 on a TV right now, you can probably get a 55-inch 4K. You're getting probably a 27-inch monitor that does 4K. Yep. So, yeah, some perspective. I just think it's an easy thing to say, hey, look how great this is. But with PC gaming, it's a pretty solitary experience as well. If you want a couch experience, you're typically not doing with a gaming PC.
Yeah. One thing you mentioned with the power supplies and that kind of stuff. Again, I was talking to my cousin about this stuff today. The 3090, it requires a 750 watt power supply at an absolute minimum. So if you're thinking, oh, I have a gaming PC right now, it's good, but I can upgrade my graphics card, I'm going to go for the highest end one, most likely, unless you really tried to future-proof your PC, you do not have a minimum 750 watt power supply, and you're probably going to want to up that. So, you're probably going to, at that point, get a new case potentially if your case is too small to fit a larger power supply. Potentially, new cooling system. Like you said, those costs can easily inflate. But for anyone interested, these all launch this month, I believe.
Yeah, in September. Yeah,
September. Yeah.
And if you
the 3070's October.
Okay, and if you got a current PC that you just want more power out of, by all means, toss it in there. It'll probably work fine, and you'll be really happy with the results. And Mark, we finish with the bonus round, and we are in our second stage of the console wars. So we said we would go through these until we got the new consoles launching this year. I hope we don't run out of console wars before we finish. Maybe we won't.
We might. Who knows? I I still would not be surprised at this point if they push the new consoles back, but let's reminisce for a second.
Yes, let's reminisce for a simpler time when we actually had 3 systems that were vying for our attention at the time. That was the Nintendo 64, the Sega Saturn, and the PS1 or PlayStation 1. So I was in college when all this was happening. So folks, this is around the 90s. 95, 96 was the time frame we're talking about, is when these systems launched. So the Sega Genesis and the SNES were coming off, huge success. There's a lot of momentum. The gaming industry was growing, and we had to figure out which was next, because the first 2 systems, when they launched, were just a big graphic leap forward. And this one was no different. This was the first time that we actually had CD technology, and then Nintendo staying with cartridges at this point. So the Sega Saturn it's funny because Sega was in poor shape, to say the least, at the time. And they were in a losing war. They didn't know what to do, so they threw a Hail Mary pass mark. So we're talking about where we are with the Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5. With Saturn, they announced it and said it was out the same day. To the surprise of everyone.
Including retailers.
Yes, everyone. They're like, what? Yes, and here's the games. And we're like, what? It's so crazy. I don't think this is ever going to be done again, because it was a horrible decision in the making. Bad idea. Poor Sega.
Yeah. I mean, you can almost kind of do that now, where you'll see Apple and other tech companies do this, where they say, and it's not quite it's available today. Sometimes it is, but they have their own retail stores. So hey, you can go pick up a new iMac today, as early as today. They might be arriving in stores, but they always specify it with that. But usually it's, and pre-orders start this afternoon, or pre-orders start right after this presentation, and the product is released 2 weeks later. To do a surprise launch like that is just like, especially like back then when supply chains were not quite as tight as some of the big tech companies have them today. That is just baffling.
Yeah, I wonder actually how many were out there day one, and how many were actually available. And they were in a rush. I mean, they wanted to get out before the N64, so they said we're not going to get beat again. So it launched in Japan November 22nd, 1994.
Beats N64 by 2 years. I mean, the N64 in Japan was June 1996, September in North America, and then didn't launch until March 1997 in Europe and Australia. So,
and at that point, it could have been PlayStation. It could have been PlayStation they were trying to beat at that point, because I know they were working together on some software, and those talks went horribly, just like how PlayStation got burned by Nintendo. Mm-hmm. Sega got burned by Sony this time. So nobody likes anybody in the world of video games these days. Friends, there's no friends. Yeah, it's not show friendness, it's show business, folks. Yeah, so that happened. And then Sony, basically because they got burned by Nintendo during the SNES era, decided they were going to have their own system. And they decided to go forward with CD technology. And it really made their software significantly cheaper to buy for the consumer, cheaper to make for the different publishers, which was what enticed so many to come over there. Square moved. They had so many new licensees, and they're like, why would we not publish on somebody that takes far less money? It's cheaper to buy the software, get things out there, and it's cheaper for the consumer, so a lot more will sell. Why not? So Sony came out as a newbie, but because they were a heavyweight in other technologies at the time, there was an understanding that Sony was not going to screw this up. They were going to be reliable, and they had quality on their side, and they could charge a premium price. So it came out for $300 in December 1994. So they did beat Saturn, but not by much.
Yeah.
In Japan. And then it came out in 95 in the US. And Sony, like I said, it was some people's one of their first CD players. Don't know why they have a CD player sooner than that, but it was a CD player, so new technology, and allowed a lot more storage of data. One of the benefits was also CD quality sound, full motion video, things like that you just could not get on a cartridge. So Sony really brought some new technology to the forefront, and cutting edge graphics. 3D graphics were new with all of these systems. Some did it better than others. And then Nintendo came a little bit later, like you said, Mark, almost a year later with the N64.
Mm-hmm.
And,
okay. Yep. No, it was very interesting to see Nintendo launch last with this generation and still have the kind of success that they did with the N64. But I think people were kind of waiting to see, Nintendo at this point was kind of the clear dominant figure in video games, and people were kind of holding back to see what they did. And the N64, for as successful as it was, I think had some missteps that kind of led to people looking at Sony and saying, oh, maybe PlayStation's not right for me, but I'm going to keep an eye on these guys. And if there is a PlayStation 2 or next PlayStation, and I think we really saw that happen with PlayStation 2, but we're not talking about that now. So let's go back to N64's launch.
Yeah, so N64 launched, and it probably had one of the best launch games of all time. And we kind of talked about that game earlier today.
Pilot Wings. No, Super Mario 64. If there's a better launch game, I don't know about it.
Yeah, and it sold 3D to people that had never seen a 3D game before. And it was amazing to see what they did and how well they succeeded basically their first time, because 3D platforming had not been done before. And it was, we had some like Doom games like that were pseudo 3D in a certain way, but nothing like what seeing Mario could do in a way that was, well done. It didn't make you puke, because some people couldn't handle that. Yeah. So it was pretty spectacular. And I think N64 also brought forward a different side of Nintendo in regards to them trying some new things with certain companies, like with Rare, and how they experimented and even with licensed games like GoldenEye.
Yeah.
And how successful that game was.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, you saw Nintendo kind of coming out of the shell and like you said, trying some things that even today seem not Nintendo. Not only with GoldenEye, and GoldenEye was a little held back by Nintendo as far as the violence went. That you had Nintendo stepping in and saying like, well, what if they came out at the end of the game and it showed all of the people that you killed as like actors, so this is all just a play, right? Like it was that kind of shit. But then on the other side of that, N64 did allow games like Turok, where you got like the cerebral boar that literally shot brain and goop out of dinosaurs' heads and that kind of stuff. So not only was it 3D, but it was like disgusting 3D at some points, which was very un-Nintendo. And before we started recording here, I mentioned that like I was 12 when the N64 came out, so I'm a little younger. So for me, this decision was still made by my parents. This wasn't. It was still a little early for me to say, no, I want this console over this one. It was still, well, I'm 12, my brother's 10. So it was like, no, Nintendo's safe. You guys are getting a Nintendo. Here you go. But some of the games that we played on this were decidedly un-Nintendo and probably, if my parents knew what we were playing, would not have been happy with. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I was in the middle of this in college. I really skipped out on the Genesis SNES era. I had an NES, so where my loyalty had been in the past had been Nintendo. I really was more of a free agent because I had a PC back then in college, so I played a lot of PC games. So I was curious to see what consoles were up to. And in college, I would be able to check out all the gaming magazines and see what was going to come, and was very excited. And it was interesting because I had the choice. And I was thinking, well, should I go with Nintendo? I like Mario, I like Zelda and things like that. But then when I looked at what Sony was doing, all these brand new franchises I'd never seen before, and really what put me over the edge was Tekken 3. a game I loved in the arcade. And when I saw you could play that on PlayStation, it looked exactly the same. I'm like, well, there was even a campus event for Sony to come on campus and show us the power of PlayStation. And I was just blown away. I mean, we had all these new franchises I'd never seen before. Very excited. And like I said, Tekken 3 blew me away. I'm like, you know what? That's where I really want to go. My buddy had an N64, so I could definitely play his, but I really wanted to go where PlayStation was going. So, and I just really enjoyed it. I played games I'd never played before, like Final Fantasy VII. I played Tomb Raider. I played Parasite Eve, Resident Evil, and it was just really a gateway to something new. And when all's said and done, I think that's what really happened. A lot of people had said, I've played with Nintendo before for 2 generations. I've seen Mario. Kind of need something new. And Sony kind of brought that forward and said, hey, there's a billion other franchises and it's $40 and it's super cheap and you can do that. And Nintendo kind of struggled with that because they were in a position where at this point, Sony kind of started really being very aggressive with pricing and slowly but surely just took the world by storm. They were, I believe, the first console to hit 100 million units sold, and nobody had ever done that before. I think maybe in Game Boy, I think hit 80 million, but nothing had ever hit that. So, and to do that out of the gates was just really impressive. And I'll be curious to see. You know, obviously we'll be curious to see where they go next, Mark, because nobody know what happened to Sony after PlayStation 1.
No, it just completely faded away into nothingness.
Sure, exactly what happened.
Yeah, I think this for my generation, growing up, like I said, I was 12 when N64 hit, so would have been a year or whatever younger or two for PlayStation to hit. But I remember kind of living in the generation that was outgrowing Nintendo being Nintendo, right? And like I said, they did a couple of kooky like things for Nintendo. You know, again, think violence and that kind of stuff. But for everything that they did like that, Sony would come out and do 5 different things that Nintendo just wouldn't be doing or that couldn't be doing. And towards the end of the generation, you really started to see where CD took over and cartridge was kind of being left behind. And I think at the start of the generation, cartridge made sense, and some of the trade-offs there, the no load times and being able to save on the cartridge and all that kind of stuff made a lot of sense for the time. But especially towards the end of the generation, as that technology aged, and as like you said, CDs became cheaper, and it was this price race kind of thing. That's when PlayStation really started to pull ahead. And like I said earlier, people got ready for PlayStation 2. And I know my brother was one of those people that saw that and was like, PlayStation 2 can play PlayStation 1 games. Nintendo is still for some reason pushing N64. I remember the Christmas that my brother got a PlayStation 2, I got Majora's Mask. And seeing Majora's Mask, for as much as I love that game, compared to some of the stuff that was PlayStation that PlayStation was doing with PlayStation 2, it was like, oh good lord, what was Nintendo thinking with this PlayStation or this N64? And it was, obviously they had the GameCube, and we'll talk about that next time, but I think towards the end of this generation, you really started to see discrepancies and disparities when it came to the hardware and the games and just everything. And that's when Sony really started to shift some minds with what they were putting out and how developers were getting used to this technology and stuff. And I think we saw that kind of carry through as well.
Yeah, we definitely saw. This was, I think, the first generation where we saw adults actively seeking out video games versus kids who grew up and bought the next video game system. So it was a really interesting time. And yeah, I mean, it was funny because I think N64 was the more powerful system, but a lot of people didn't realize it just because of the audio and the CD technology, which just seemed far more exciting at the time.
Yeah. If you think about CD-ROM cutscenes nowadays, it seems laughable, right. And you're like, oh my, like they didn't age nearly as well as some of the early polygonal stuff on N64, which again towards the end of the generation, or especially when we started seeing what the PS2 could do, it was like oh man, like Nintendo is so far behind. But realistically, yeah, at the start of the console war this time, it was like, yeah, N60, like PlayStation didn't even have analog sticks on their controller. Their first one, it was a D-pad, and it wasn't until they had that DualShock, adding the analog stick after they saw what 3D control could do with the N64. So there was a lot of this company learning from that company, and this company, and PlayStation really learned a lot from Nintendo, but Nintendo, I don't think, learned enough lessons quickly enough from PlayStation. And we're still seeing Nintendo do that kind of shit. So, yeah.
Yeah. So we had a couple polls out. Overall, it's kind of funny because obviously PlayStation far outsold the N64, but if you looked at our polls, Mark, the N64 won.
100%. Yeah. Which is, I don't know if that's telling about our audience or about something there that's a little deeper, but sadly across Twitter and PlayStation, no votes whatsoever for
almost
Sega
70
Saturn.
Votes total, and I would say it's closer to 60 to 40, or maybe even 70-30.
So heavily leaning towards N64, but let's want to go through a few of these comments and stuff that we saw.
Yeah, very good. So Dan Fogarty says, my first for that generation was the N64. I was really excited about it, but I could never get into it. Even to this day, there are a few N64 games that get me super excited, even though I love me some Nintendo games. And then basically said Final Fantasy was what really ended up getting me to buy the PlayStation.
Yeah, I think a lot of people could say their PlayStation love started with Final Fantasy VII for sure. There was just nothing that massive and sprawling. I mean, Nintendo had Ocarina of Time, but if you compared that to Final Fantasy VII, Ocarina's story at least was always and PlayStation again has continued with this heavily story driven focus on games. So David Kearns came with I can't remember exactly why I had chosen PlayStation. I think it's because I prefer cooperation to competition. My friends had the different platforms, so I was able to see what each had to offer. I like turn-based games, RPGs, cooperative games like Dynasty Warriors and some D&D type games. Friends had already become experts in Mario Kart and James Bond GoldenEye. Heck, even fighting games became cooperative with PS2's Tekken Tag Tournament, but PS2 doesn't count in this poll. But the point is, I think PlayStation had more multiplayer team-up games. Was X-Men Legends PlayStation or PlayStation 2? Was that PlayStation? I think that was PlayStation 2, right?
This is Pokemon Dave Kearns. He's a good friend of mine. He's an Air Force buddy. Yeah, so Dave gets easily confused. Sorry, Dave.
Right. Yeah. Anyway, so more cooperative stuff, which I don't know. PlayStation only had 2 controller ports, N64 had 4.
It did have the extra. No, you're right, 2. But then you could add the L thing that added 4 extras in. So yeah. So, right. But yeah, a lot of the Nintendo games at the time were competitive, and you had Smash, you had Mario Kart,
right? Competitive
versus cooperative. Yeah, it was cutthroat on Nintendo.
Larry Giver, 64 went for F-Zero X, a game that doesn't get a ton of love or shout outs when you're thinking of the greats on N64. No. So good call on that one, Larry.
Yeah, from Twitter, JJ Saged, hope I'm getting that right, says, disk load times were so bad after growing up with kart consoles. You know what? You're not wrong. Those lasers heated up and died after not too long. But people learned that you could put your PlayStation on its back like a turtle, and it would play better.
There you go. Let's go another Twitter one. Edward Varnell, Nintendo 64, of course, being a Nintendo fan, Super Mario 64 sold me, and the controller was revolutionary for gaming and comfortable. I'm going to argue with you on the comfortable one there, Ed, but revolutionary, I will 100% agree with that one. I did get a PS1, but that turn system didn't bring too many games without it being scratched. There's. I think this was also the generation that people started really considering being multi-console gamers. I don't know if we had that as much with Sega and Nintendo or Super Nintendo. There may have been a few people that had both, but in my experience anyway, it was one or the other. And then kind of this generation and especially the next one, people started like, no, I'll have a GameCube and a PlayStation 2, or I'll have this, so yeah, I think we'll be seeing more people with Edward's kind of experience as we keep going with this console war stuff.
Yeah, Mark Flessa said, I generally enjoy Nintendo first-party titles far more than any other kind of console-based video games. Also, after all these years, I still hate the PS1 through 4 controllers. I get it. And then he also mentioned that, he mentioned what I would say several other people also mentioned, like Jason Schmucker and a few others, talked about GoldenEye, talked about Super Mario 64, Ocarina of Time. And it's funny because after you go through the top games with N64, the pickings get a little bit leaner, but on the PlayStation, the library on the PlayStation, I think, is what really brought people, especially JRPGs. The amount of JRPGs on the PlayStation were just ridiculous because they had an opportunity to not be as risky on PlayStation because there was less money involved. So, yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people, mentioned those kind of games. Steve McNeil, tough one, but I picked N64 because of Ocarina, Majora's Mask, Mario 64, GoldenEye, too many great memories. I love my PlayStation 2, and it had a pretty amazing library. Brendan Myers on Twitter, N64 had a lot of party games where me and my siblings could play all at once, which was my experience as well. Mario 64, 2 Zelda games were amazing, Mario Party, Kart, all that kind of stuff. That was the party system, right? Like 4 controllers, 4 friends, competing usually. So back to that other cooperative comment. Yes, this was the competitive system, but it was a fun kind of competition. It wasn't serious, right?
No, nobody got into battles over Mario Party, right?
I never once punched a sibling over throwing a red shell at me. What are you talking about, Todd? That's slander.
Not at all. Not at all. Well, Mark, I think we've won the console war this round. I mean, we only had 2 of them, right? There can't be any more, right?
No, we definitely haven't already hinted at what's going to be coming next.
No one would kill the Archduke of Nintendo Land. Oh, well. That is it, folks. We'll be back in 2 weeks with Console Wars Round 3, surprisingly enough. But, Mark, before we get to next week, how can people stay in touch?
Well, first off, I want to thank everyone. We didn't read every single one of the comments, so if we missed yours, thank you so much for writing on, especially in our Facebook group, which is probably the best place. So Secret Friends Unite Facebook group. So many great responses. Thank you all. Keep responding to these. We will read them next time as well. So we'll put up another poll. But Secret Friends Unite on Facebook. That is the group. Follow us there, or follow us on @co_op_mode_pod on Twitter. You can also follow Todd and I individually at @TOxtra or at @the_Canardian through Twitter as well. And if you want to leave your personal memories of the console wars or any other voice memo as well, 3 minutes or less, you can call 872-225-2496 and leave a little something that we can play on the show.
Absolutely, folks. And if you're interested in doing either of those, you can also leave us a review on iTunes. That would be great. If you do that or call the hotline, we will give away a gift, well, basically a code for Round Guard on Xbox One. I actually have some codes for other games as well and would love to give those away. So please participate, folks. You will be rewarded.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that is it, Mark. A little bit long, but hey, we had fun. So hopefully you enjoyed the ride. Mark, thank you for joining. And as always, folks, it's always better to game together.
We're gonna play the game, the PlayStation all day, with Metal Gear Solid to Tekken 3, and from Omega Boost to Resident Evil. Just play for the fun, 'cause we got it going on.